Safi and Marco dish out on the movies. Well, we're back to TV week again. In other words, we're doing a lot of TV episode series right now, and
the schedule is 5 out of 7 days have episodes to review. You have Monday, which is Dark Winds,
which is what we're doing today.
Tuesday is Saul. Wednesday is Free, but then Thursday is MasterChef. Back to shit. Friday is The Old Man. Saturday is a new movie, possibly, and then Sunday is Free. So like 5 out of 7 days are like full schedule, which is unfortunate because we really need to get out those Tom Cruise videos since it's supposed to be a 300 subs celebration, and who knows, we could be by 400 by the time the videos finally release.
Well, at least we got out a few so far, so that's better than nothing. In spite of the fact we have all these TV reviews to do. But today we're doing Dark Winds, and it is the very first season, and they have renewed it for the second season, which is great. And I know I'm singing a different tune than what I did the very first episode, but it is so much better, and it's just so much better, a lot nicer, better storytelling, better fleshed out characters.
Fleshed out?
Fleshed out.
Who got flushed?
More information about the characters, about their stories, and which is good. It just doesn't seem so like a skeleton and with no wings and no feet and nothing. It's just there. So it is called Illini.
Are you sure? It's really hard.
The first part.
It's weird because I was able to look up all these titles, find out how to pronounce them, and find out the definitions. But this title, I looked it up on Google, and it'll only show this show. And then I looked up Illini, and that sounds Italian, and I looked that up, and then I couldn't find it. So it's like some mysterious word.
Actually, it sounds like Swahili.
Illini.
Okay, well, I bet some Navajo there is holding their ears and crying because Marco is butchering the name, and I'm probably not doing too much better, but we're sorry. But
couldn't find it.
I don't even know if they said it in the episode.
No, I don't think so.
Because I think they would kind of like highlight it, as they said it.
I mean, we got Hukandi, and we got, what was that other one? I don't know. See, that's the problem with these titles, is that even though it makes sense that there are these Navajo words, it's hard to like remember them. It's hard to associate like what's the episode about with them. The Male Rain Approaches has probably been the best title because it made sense the most. But these titles have been really difficult, and so I would say that that's a flaw. Like, I don't really remember any titles from the old books that you read. I mean, not old, but the books that you read.
No.
Like what are the titles of those? Like Skinwalkers, stuff like that, like Fly on a Wall.
Woman, that is not a part of this series.
But
I told you that.
The point is that the titles are very clear,
yes,
and they're very easy to understand. And these titles are like, when I think of Hukandi, even though I know it means home, I don't think of that episode. I just think, I learned a new word, but I don't associate it really with the episode, so I would say that that's a flaw.
Yeah. Well, a lot happened in this episode, and it really is building up to the final episode, which is next week, which is horrible, because it's the last one. for the season. They're
Yeah.
doing 6.
It's pretty bad.
It's unbelievable.
The way that they treated it, they almost treated it like a filler show for Better Call Saul.
Well,
Like-
yeah, they probably did at first, wondering if anybody was be interested.
It would have actually worked so much better if you had gotten stupid Saul out of the way, and then in the later half of the summer you have the new show, and that would lead into the fall. Like, that would have worked so much better, in my opinion. Sandwiching it in between Better Call Saul was a poor decision.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about last night. We think that probably a lot of members of the Better Call Saul crew are doing this show as well because it's in a nearby area. Or it's in the area. I think if they're filming, I would think they're filming on location.
So this episode, I would really, let's not call it Holly Nini.
Well,
Let's
you can
call
think of
it-
a better title.
I already did. I told you hours ago, remember?
No.
Curse of the Taco Bell woman. See?
Why do you call her the Taco Bell woman?
Because, like, in that first episode that she was in, it's like she had some Taco Bell gas that she waved at Bernie, and then all of a sudden she was brainwashed or something. It was some weird
She's a witch.
witchcraft.
Yeah.
And so I call her the Taco Bell woman. And she comes back this episode for her revenge with the double chalupa combo. And the double chalupa combo, that doesn't leave any survivors because she has this master plan. It's so strange, too, because Safi never mentioned that these books had this weird witchcraft
They
where...
do have witchcraft, but not as pronounced as that.
Where it's almost like fantasy level
Well,
witchcraft.
This is like Halloween or something. Not Halloween the movie, but like a witch story at Halloween.
It's like Hocus Pocus.
Yeah, but it's fine because they do believe in witches. They do believe in evil spirits, and that's why they have all these rituals.
I don't know if it was a smart decision to include such a strong witchcraft story in the first season because you're trying to bait the audience in, or you're trying to get them hooked in, and by doing this thing with the witchcraft, you're kind of making everything less believable and less like there is witchcraft, but showing it to this extent this fast is kind of strange. I don't like that. I think that was a mistake.
I don't know.
Should have been done in later seasons. Of course, probably later seasons for this show will mean the 5th season when it's over. So who knows?
And nothing against them. It's just what they're doing nowadays.
Yeah.
To shows, they're cutting them off.
You can only
Short
have
seasons,
5 seasons, and you
Yeah.
can only have 10 episodes or less each season.
and it could be the most outstanding show on the planet. But
Yeah.
no, we are not going to let it go past 5 seasons or 6 shows. They better have more than 6 shows next time. I mean, I think they did an excellent job
Yeah.
getting the whole story condensed into these 6 episodes, but if they really, I mean, Tony Hellerman already and his daughter Anne already have a built-in fan base of many years, and they're lucky because if they hadn't, after that first episode, I think they would have turned a lot of people off. So I think people like me, of course, we're reviewers. We plan to review it anyway, no matter what. And some of the trash that especially Marco's watched lately,
I just had to watch Thor.
he's reviewed and I've seen, but mine's been like for fun, which is in quotes because it's trash is trash. I don't know. It's just it's ridiculous how they would just if people would have been turned off by it, they probably wouldn't have watched it. So you already have this built-in fan base. We're probably going to stick with it, and if they did like me, even though I'm doing it as part of like a job, they would be satisfied and happy because it really is. And I think the final episode will be really, I think will be really good.
Well, I thought this episode was good. I don't really agree with Safi in terms of how they've ordered the story. I think that that's one of the biggest flaws of the season is that the way that they've ordered the story. I was able to figure out how the story would be structured from like the very first episode, where it's like, oh, okay, this is going to be one of those shows where they don't give you any information, and each episode they slowly reveal more. And so each episode gets better and better. Why? Because it naturally is going to, because you're being revealed more of the story. So to me, the story structure has been bad. Because this episode being good, it's like the whole season should have been this good. But they structured it in a way where it could never be like that because, no, but I don't think anyone is going to tell you that episode 1 and 2 is better than this episode or something like
no
that.
Way.
Why? Because there's nothing there. Like, they build and build each episode, and so they really shot themselves in the foot in terms of that. They did too many plot choices that were bad in terms of trying to appeal to the mainstream by having Jim be an FBI agent, just stupid. It's that typical story, cliche story that you see in movies where you'll have a character and he's sent in to infiltrate a group and then he really likes the group. Oh no. And then there's a part where the group finds out the truth. And then there's a sad portion where he's not with the group anymore and he's sad. Everyone's sad about his absence. And then at the end he comes back to win back their trust. It's the same old shit we've seen a million times. And then the stuff with the witchcraft too was not a good decision. So even though this episode was good, it's like, yeah, no shit, this episode was going to be good. If it was bad, that would have surprised me. Safi,
Well,
I mean, don't you agree?
I guess that can be true, but it's still, there were still some other parts to it that we heard. I guess, but it kind of goes in with the general, what would you call it, topic, generality that you just said about the whole, what the structure would be. How they did it to explain what the structure would be is very conceivable because, like I said in the books, Manuelito and Jim Chi, I think they get married. I mean, I know they get together and they are in love, but it's not like they're Navajo. I mean, they're not going to show all this syrupy love stuff. And
Safi, he's like, this is the reason you won't let people in your trailers because you make things very hard on people.
Yeah, I know.
That was such a bad line.
I know. That you could tell it. He stops to help this Navajo man who, this reservation is humongous. And you go for miles, there's nothing. No gas station, no nothing. No trees, no nothing. And he was pulled over because his water tank, it was spilling over and steaming. And he was helping. He gave him water. Jim Chi gave him water from his canteen because you carry fresh water with you, or you could be in trouble because if you have car trouble and you don't have, and there's nowhere to get water nearby, it's going to be a while and you might get thirsty and it gets hot out there. And then he finds out all this stuff about this other plot, which the police didn't know anything about. But guess who did? The FBI. But guess which FBI agent didn't know about it? Jim Chi. So all of that was a very interesting new plot. Actually, we started to see, and it involved the guy from The Office.
Because instead of, and Safi said this thing where
Sorry.
she tried to predict that they would not treat him well and they'd treat him like dirt. But instead of seeing that, we just see that they won't tell him the truth.
No, they were going to disrespect him the whole time, not just
even
when he goes
worse,
to Washington. I know.
Because they're wasting his time, and it's not a good investigation that way. I thought the episode was pretty good. I mean, there's not really any bad things about this particular episode. Like, it was very entertaining. There was lots of fun moments. In particular, there wasn't any swimming sequence, which Safi sort of had a temper tantrum over.
No, I didn't. Marco's making it up.
She had a
I
crying
adding
fit.
this to the review.
She had a crying fit that there wasn't any.
They did show the
equivalent.
FBI at the swimming hole.
They were there.
I guess they had found all of the bodies, including the boy who went looking to help the police department find the helicopter, and also the pilot or pilots who were killed.
But they were too late, so
murdered.
She was already gone, back at the police station,
getting witchcraft by a witch.
Not anticipating the return of the gas. In particular, I thought the highlight was the Taco Bell gas woman getting beaten up. Because
that was cool.
It's pretty hilarious. Like, see, that's what I wanted Joe Leaphorn to have a moment like that. Like,
that he did.
See, that's another thing is they won't. It's another problem is they won't show like a man doing that to a woman character, even if she's evil and she's aiding and abetting a criminal, a murderer. They won't.
That's her boyfriend, isn't it?
She's aiding and abetting him.
Oh, I know. Well.
So that's what I'm saying. But even if like she's a bad person, a criminal, even if she's helping a murderer, there's still that's how bad 2022 is. They're still not going to have it be where Joe is the one beating the shit out of her, which is would have been so much cooler, honestly, because he's the main character. She's not. He is.
Yeah, but he can't even. You saw what happened at the beginning. I don't know what you were going to think about, but it was true what she said, that he knew that Jim Chi was in the FBI. Remember, he guessed it. He didn't tell him. He guessed it. And then he didn't say anything to Manuelito. They kept it quiet. And it was disrespectful in a way, because it's like he's treating her like she's a wife or something, like a regular. She's an employee. She's a sheriff's deputy. She's trained to use weapons and do all this.
She's trained to go swimming.
She's trained to do this. Well, that's another thing. I don't think very many Navajo people are trained to go swimming.
Really?
Yes, really. It's like in Africa.
Wouldn't that be funny?
They don't go swimming.
Wouldn't that be funny if they had like a whole origin story episode where they like show a training montage of her and like the swimming coach, and she's like, I do not want to go in the water. It is scary water. It is male water. And she goes in there anyway, and it's like da 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 da.
Well, it was so weird for them to even have this lake, or whatever you want to call it, pond. I would call it. It's more like a pond. There is no water out there. That's why they have they make rainwater buckets, not buckets but barrels, and they have the system on the top where any rain they get will go into the barrel. There's no fresh water, and so that was weird. So there's no reason, or even for them to grow up learning how to swim. Where are they going to swim?
Did she ever swim in the books?
There's no swimming.
Oh, no! Well, that's another bad thing then, because, why didn't they figure that out?
Well, maybe they could have a swimming pool in Gallup or something for the public.
Yeah, but you said they never showed her go swimming in the books.
They never show anybody go. Not that I'm aware of.
So that means
I can't remember any.
That means that
swimming.
I guarantee the writer of the books, both writers, I guarantee they'd never have her go swimming in the books. So that's another issue, is that they don't explain why she likes to swim.
Well, they wouldn't have.
And they don't have an origin story episode where she goes, da, 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 da.
They didn't have any origin story with Jim Cheese and the FBI
and
either.
She's got a timer.
I know the daughter, Ann, was not happy about that. But the guy, well, like we said in earlier.
Well, I want the actress who plays Emmanuel Lito to explain the swimming origin story, because nobody else has explained to me the origin story of the swimming.
Okay, Marco, that's enough of that.
What?
Yes.
It's true.
Let's move on.
Well, it's important to the story because she went swimming. But in this episode, she beats the shit out of this Taco Bell woman.
Well, she's a good deputy. She's right on the money.
They had a great sequence where the classic thing where the bad guy escapes from jail. And what happened was the Taco Bell gas woman came inside with the double chalupa combo with the side of cheesy potatoes. And Bernie just fell faint, and she just like slumped over her desk with a sad look on her face, while the Taco Bell woman just let out the bad guy who looks like Rambo, and they escape. And I thought, oh, that was pretty good. I like that. You know, that's fun. And then Bernie tracks the Taco Bell gas woman back to her house. Remember, her daughter said she's not the one you should be afraid of, and it's like,
I don't know.
that was not true. And so they have this big encounter where they tussle and fight, and it was actually really cool the way the use of all the different items and things around, and like she beat the shit out of this woman. Like, she smashed her up against a bookcase and like threw her against a door, and like you know, she really likes to rip people apart. And then she throws her in a room, and she literally pushes an entire bookcase on her, like a bookcase that's stacked all the way to the ceiling. And then the house sets on fire, the apartment, whatever, the house sets on fire. And she just like lets the Taco Bell woman stay there because it's too dangerous.
No, she did try to help her, but it was
it was like, oh, can't do that, so I gotta leave. The chalupa combo,
on fire.
The Crunchy Wrap Supreme combo is too much.
Well, her arm caught on fire. She had to run out. Her arm was burning.
It was just hilarious, though.
And the rain barrel they had out in the porch, she stuck her arm in there.
Yeah, she stuck her arm in the female rain barrel. Which that would be female rain because it's calm. So, you know, calm water is female. Aggressive rain is male water. So, she stuck her arm in the female rain. And, you know, one of the things about this episode, though, is the whole episode almost, she had this really angry scowl on her face.
She did.
Like this really, like, just like her eyes were like she looked like Connie from King of the Hill, this episode, the way she was like, the whole episode, she was like scowling at everyone, including like the camera. And so she was pretty much the star of the episode, which is good because she's been the best character. They did show for next week that Joe is probably going to be the star of that episode, hopefully.
Yeah.
We won't talk about that anymore. But Safi, what else is there to say? I mean, we haven't talked about Dwight from The Office.
I'll let you do that.
Well,
he was really good.
They have a little backstory. That's another thing where that just hasn't really been fleshed out yet very much. They've shown flashes and things of him, but he really hasn't been that involved in the story. And his character's weird. Like, you look at him, And you think, like, there must be something creepy going on with him. Like, he looks like he's running, like, an underground pedophile ring or something. Like, that's how creepy he looks, because he has, like, this flashy salesman look.
He is a salesman. He's a car salesman. He owns a car dealership.
And it turns out that he's really not evil. He's just being blackmailed by the two main bad guys.
Yeah, the guy with the priest. He's not really a priest. His twin brother with the glasses, and then the guy who looks like the meanest Native American with the. What are those scars on his face? Are they?
Yes, Safi. They said that in the show.
Well, it just looks weird. I can't. Anyway, he is a big guy, and they're blackmailing him because he's the car dealership guy is doing some infidelity with his secretary, car salesman.
Yeah.
I don't know, and employee. And they found out because there's another Native American guy. I don't know who that. I guess he works for the car dealership. He saw and reported on them to these two bad guys. And so what the blackmail is they get a free vehicle for not telling his wife or whatever they were going to do. I don't know what they threatened to do. So that's it. And apparently, I guess the FBI guy knew about it. The other one.
And then Jim didn't.
Yeah. And also, there's even more to it, but I don't even think they disclosed it all. So I'm not going to make suppositions, but there is another FBI agent around, and he's kind of part of the staff there, and he hates being there. He's not Navajo. He's just a regular Belangana, which is a white guy. That's a Belangana, or anybody who's not Navajo.
He could go swimming, though.
Well, anyway, he was told to destroy some files, or a file, and by the other FBI agent who's keeping quiet about lots of things that he did not tell Jim Chi about. And so that was revealed, too. So, but I think there's more than that because they said something in the coming preview.
Why don't you explain the sequence
I
where...
don't know what to explain.
Just quickly go through the sequence with... because I think this is the last thing we haven't talked about. Joe, and then that one guy crying or something.
Well,
Joe and the crying
what
man.
happened was... I don't know when this happened, but his son, Joe Leaphorn, and his wife's son was killed in a mining accident, which never happened in the books. But anyway, in fact, I don't even think there was any kids, but I don't know for sure. I don't remember. I don't think so. And
God, Safi, there's so many changes that
well,
make
that's
no
okay.
sense.
It really doesn't matter. And then what happened? Well, there's some big, deep thing where the boy, Emma, Joe Leaphorn's wife, and wanted him to go to college, which is Joe Leaphorn went to college, and Emma probably did too because she's a nurse. And Joe didn't want him to leave. He wanted him to stay there. And because he stayed there, he worked at this mine. The mine exploded. The boy got killed. And so then this other guy, the young girl who died at the very beginning of the episode, one of the murder victims, remember she was with the lady who couldn't see, the blind lady? Well, she was killed. Well, that was this man's daughter. And he has not been able to get over anything about it. I mean, he is grieving so terribly. And so he made up with Joe Leaphorn. Remember, they got, a couple episodes, or the last episode, they got in a terrible fight. And he came after Joe, and he was there as an officer of the law. I don't think he was wearing his uniform, though. No, it was a ceremony or something. And he went after him. Well, he shot him because he was going after him, and Joe shot him. And so they made up.
I literally couldn't remember who that was.
Well, they made up.
And that part of that episode had different lighting. Remember, it wasn't like bluish lighting or something.
I don't know.
Like they changed the lighting to make you know that it's the past, because in the past there was no color in the universe. You know, it was like Pleasantville, where everything turned into color.
Which is so not true.
When the 1970s came around.
It's so not true if you talk to any reseller on this planet who sells hard goods and clothing, if they deal with vintage clothing. That is so not true. It's not even funny.
There was technically more color back then as well, because they had something called Technicolor,
Oh, yeah.
which was a process of apparently that actually emphasized the three primary colors, red, blue, and yellow. So
I see.
it made everything a lot more colorful, especially on film. And so but that's off topic. I give this episode an A.
Me too.
Yeah, an A. Just
I'm
an
very
A.
sad, actually, that it's going to end next week because I've really enjoyed it, and I'm even thinking about rereading the books, although
Go ahead.
that would be a big endeavor. But I really enjoyed the books. My mom was the one who turned me on to the series, and she read the books. She had the whole collection. She read them over and over and over and over and over again. She's the one who donated to this foundation that's associated with the area,
Well,
and I've continued
Safi,
the tradition, and my sister did too when she was
Dark
alive.
Winds is just the beginning, because I have a pitch for a show about Native Americans. Okay, it would be called Python Lie, and it would be
Pythons.
Python Lie, and it would be in the style of Cobra Kai, where you have lots of Native Americans enter a swimming competition, and they open up their own swimming club named Python Lie, and they get into lots of swimming competitions, and it's very intense because they don't like swimming, and it's very scary. So beat
That's
that.
supposed to be funny, it's not.
I just pitched that series and you just threw it away. Well, it's already been picked up for 12 episodes, plus a behind-the-scenes documentary starring Burt Reynolds as Ghost. So why don't you beat that, Safi? Pitch a better idea.
I don't want to pitch an
about-
idea. I want to see more of a good show, and they better not
Pitch.
screw it up like they've done.
But why can't they go swimming?
I mean, I'd rather watch this 10 times than watch that. Somebody else in the house is watching The Old Man. Oh, God. Oh, and I like Jeff Bridges. He's really good, but I don't want to watch that show over and over again. It is not worthwhile.
It's a horrible show.
No, I don't-
Just so you guys, I know that you guys watching this video might not have seen it, but this line is something where, like, yeah, okay, I can figure out the whole show is trash. There's a line where the Freckle Spider-Man, she says, "You're making me cut off parts of my body I didn't even know existed." And, like, if you guys think that that's a genuinely good line, then you might need to get your head examined by a professional, because that's one of the worst lines I've ever heard in a movie or a show. And when Safi heard it, she started laughing. Right, Safi?
Well, I hear stupid stuff. I'm sitting here at the table working, and the TV is on constantly. And this show is on over and over and over again. And I'm going insane. And every time I hear some dumb line, I mean, I can hear it. I repeat it, and it's just like so dumb. I'm like, why do I have to hear this? When I have other things, I mean, there's really not that much that's really good. For me, I watch mostly YouTube videos from other YouTube people who do different things. Not reviewing, actually, no other movie reviewers. I watch all kinds of things that have to do with reselling.
Well,
to
I'd
help my
rather
business.
just
watch them than listen to this show, The Old Man. I mean, I didn't mind hearing it once. It was okay, but it's not. I don't. care
I'd
for
rather
it's not any
rewatch
good.
The Offer again too.
Yeah, I would love to watch that too. But I read the I read this book right after.
There isn't very much swimming
was
in the.
good.
There isn't much swimming in The Offer.
I don't think. Well,
There's a
never
little
mind.
bit. Isn't that the scene in the first episode where she's swimming? Ally McGraw is swimming,
I don't know.
and it's some weird thing.
It would be for Love Story. Well, if they have a pool, which they could have, they lived in California.
Safi, do you think
They probably had a pool.
do you think in Dark Winds season 2 they should have a villain who comes from the ocean?
What ocean would that be?
I don't
It
know.
would have to be the Gulf of New Mexico, and they'd have to go west to Texas.
Just imagine like pirates come out of the ocean.
Or
And
south.
They come onto the reservation, and they have come to take someone with them because they want to teach them how to swim.
Oh, Marco. Marco's trying to be funny. But anyway, I hope you like this review.
I'm not trying to be funny.
If you
I am
liked it,
funny.
give it a thumbs up and be one of our subscribers. We welcome all new subscribers.
Yeah, this is
We
a very
enjoy
good
your
episode.
comments. And if you haven't started watching this, I recommend it highly. I also recommend you to read the Hillerman books, just not that first one, The Fly on the Wall, because it has nothing to do with this. It's kind of like his first experimentation into writing.
Well, why don't they take Fly on the Wall and adapt that in the second season?
I don't know how they would do that.
So that they
it
could
has nothing to do with it
so
at
that,
all.
So that they could improve on what's bad
There's
instead
nothing to
but-
do
but
improve.
for
It has
this-
nothing to
well,
do with it.
For this season, they've taken 3 books and they've made stupid changes to them that have, like, made them not as good. So why don't they take the book that's not as good and make it good by improving that?
Well, I think the books are good, though. That's the thing.
You said Fly on the Wall is a piece
Not
of
that
shit.
book, but that has nothing to do
So,
with the series.
they
It's
could
completely different.
But they could take that and they could adapt that and they could
Ah.
fix that one. I mean, wouldn't you like to see that?
Okay, Marco, I think it's time to go. Bye.
Bye.